The day the sun and the moon stopped. The greatest miracle in history? Do you believe that science explains everything? What if I told you that there is an event so impossible, so unbelievable, that it defies all the laws of physics and astronomy? An event recorded in the Bible, which made even the greatest scholars try to find explanations for something that simply should not have happened. But it happened. The sun stopped in the sky. The moon remained motionless. Time froze, and Israel's enemies were decimated without night falling. How was this possible? Was it a miracle? An illusion? Some unknown cosmic phenomenon? And most importantly, what does this mean for US today? Brace yourself, because what you're about to discover may shake everything you thought you knew about the power of God and the impossible. The context: Israel at war and an urgent request. To understand this stunning event, we need to go back about 3,000 years ago, to a time when the Israelites were conquering the Promised Land under the leadership of Joshua. Who was Joshua and what was happening? Joshua was Moses' successor and responsible for leading the people of Israel after their departure from Egypt. God had already performed incredible miracles, such as the parting of the Red Sea and the fall of the walls of Jericho. And now Israel was in the midst of conquering Canaan, God's promised land. But this achievement was not easy. Canaan was inhabited by several warlike peoples, including the Amorites, one of the most powerful groups in the region. The alliance with the Gibeonites and the attack of the Amorites. The inhabitants of Gibeon, fearing the Israelite advance, made a peace agreement with Joshua, Joshua 9. This did not please the other Canaanite peoples. It was then that 5 Amorite kings joined together to attack Gibeon, trying to punish the city for having allied itself with Israel. Realizing they were about to be destroyed, the Gibeonites sent out a desperate call for help. "Do not abandon your servants. Come quickly to us. Save us and help us." Joshua 10 verse 6. Without hesitation, Joshua and his warriors marched all night to surprise the enemy army at dawn. The war begins. Miracles on miracles. The first divine intervention. Confusion in the enemy army. When the Amorites saw the Israelites arriving by surprise, they were seized by panic and disorder. And the Lord threw them into great confusion before Israel, and he smote them with great slaughter at Gibeon, and pursued them by the way that goes up to Betharon, and smote them as far as Azekah and Makkedah. Joshua 10 verse 10. They desperately tried to escape, but God would not allow them to escape. The second divine intervention, the rain of deadly stones. As the Amorites fled, something incredible happened. From the sky, huge stones began to fall, hitting and killing more soldiers than the Israelites' own sword. And as they fled from Israel as they went down to Betharon, the Lord threw great stones from heaven upon them as far as Azekah, and they died. More were killed by the hailstones than those whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. Joshua 10 verse 11. If Israel's army was already winning, this rain of stones proved that God was fighting for them. But there was a problem. The day was ending. If night fell, the Amorites would have a chance to escape and reorganize their forces. Joshua knew he needed to finish that battle before nightfall. The impossible happens. The sun and the moon stop in the sky. It was then that Joshua did something that defies all human logic. He looked up at the sky and declared in a loud voice, "Sun, stand over Gibeon, and you, O moon, over the valley of Ajalon." Joshua 10 verse 12. And then, the impossible happened, and the sun stood still, and the moon stood still, until the people avenged themselves on their enemies. Is this not written in the book of the righteous? The sun stood still in the midst of the heaven, and did not hasten to set for nearly a whole day. Joshua 10 verse 13. The sun and moon were frozen in the sky, giving Israel time to finish off its adversaries. Time literally stopped, and to ensure that this would never be forgotten, the Bible makes an impactful statement. There was no day like this, either before it or after it, that the Lord responded to the voice of man. For the Lord fought for Israel, Joshua 10 verse 14. The theories. How is this possible? This event is one of the most mysterious and debated in the Bible. Several explanations have already been suggested. Hello. Before we continue, please check if you are already subscribed to our channel. Your like or comment would make me very happy. 1. Literal miracle. God, who created the universe and all the laws of nature, simply suspended time, keeping the sun and moon still. This would mean direct interference with all of creation, something only God could do. 2. An atmospheric phenomenon. Some theorists suggest that it may have been an optical anomaly, where the light remained reflected for longer due to some unknown phenomenon. But that doesn't explain the moon's immobility. 3. A rare cosmic event. Another theory is that an unusual eclipse or some astronomical phenomenon made it appear that the sun and moon stood still. But none of these hypotheses can explain the biblical statement that the day lasted almost twice as long as normal. Regardless of the explanation, what we know is that the event happened exactly as described in the Bible. What does this miracle mean to us today? This story teaches us 3 powerful truths. 1. God answers prayer. Joshua had faith and boldness, and God responded in a spectacular way. This proves that no prayer is too big for God. 2. God fights for his own. If he fought for Israel, he can fight for you too. No matter how big your battle, God is in control. 3. God is above time. If God can stop time to fulfill his will, he can act in your life at the right time. Conclusion. The God who still works miracles. The day the sun and moon stopped was one of the greatest miracles in history. And now I ask you, do you believe that God can still do the impossible in your life? If the story impacted you, share it with someone who needs to know that God is still in control. Fire rocket.